All right, and we're back, folks. We got knocked off the air for a little bit there, but we are back live. And if you're seeing the title, the title's changed to reflect the fact that obviously Charlie Kirk has been killed. You can confirm that Charlie Kirk has died as a result, and we're going to keep covering the news as long as the news keeps coming out for a little bit. To my knowledge, there is still no word on a suspect. We're gonna go to the PC shot because there's actually a picture on Yahoo News of Charlie Kirk right before he was shot. We're gonna go to the PC shot right now, and okay, so the PC shot should be on, and so this is the picture. This is the picture that was taken of Charlie Kirk right before he was shot, taken by Trent Nelson, and comes from the Salt Lake Tribune via Reuters. So, and everyone's confirming at this point that he is dead. And then Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, says he just got off the phone with President Trump and he's working to try and catch the shooter. And like I said, and also former President Biden has also condemned the shooting, similarly to how he condemned the shooting of former and current President Trump last year. And he said there is no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now. Jill and I are praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones. And this is my thoughts on this. When it comes to Charlie Kirk as a person, I mean, in terms of politics, I hated his politics. Like I said in the stream before I got interrupted, I hated Charlie Kirk's politics, okay? But I didn't want to see him get assassinated. You know, for his family's sake, and also just for the fact that I didn't want him to become a martyr like Horst Wessel did for the Nazis. And okay, so 5 minutes ago, they're still looking for a suspect. They're still looking for a suspect. Chris Pratt also mentioned he's praying for Charlie Kirk right now. And multiple people from both sides of the aisle are condemning the violence. Tim Walz is, Nancy Pelosi is, Mitt Romney is. And Tim Walz is right. You know, in America, we shouldn't have to settle our differences at gunpoint. We shouldn't have to do this. In democracy, you shouldn't have to settle your political differences at the barrel of a gun. And that's all I gotta say in regards to that. These are some of his last tweets before he died. He mentioned the murder of that Ukrainian refugee in Charlotte as his last ever tweet. And yeah, it is also Wikipedia official at this point. Oh, I didn't know he founded TPUSA. I didn't know he was a founder of Turning Point USA, or co-founder. Okay. So, like I said, going back to my original commentary, like I said, I think this is gonna be bad. And for all the people that are cheering this on, look, I get it. You know, I don't like Charlie Kirk either as a person, as a political commentator, a political activist. His views are very much the opposite of my own, and I think a lot of his views suck. But at the same time, this I feel like is going to invite a lot of violence from the Trump administration and MAGA, because no matter who the shooter is, they're going to try to pin it on the left somehow, and on Democrats and liberals and whatnot. And God fucking help us all if the shooter is a minority or is queer, because if it's one or both, if it's both of those, we are especially fucked. We are extremely fucked if the shooter is a minority or queer, or both. We're double fucked if it's both, folks. Let's be real. Ugh. And one thing I noticed that's really ironic. So apparently Charlie Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings at the time he was shot. Now, obviously, Charlie Kirk had very anti-gun control views and frequently expressed them. In fact, very infamously, he said that the Second Amendment was worth people getting killed. He once said that gun deaths were worth it to keep the Second Amendment, essentially. That's the view he put out there. So a lot of people have brought that up in light of his death for obvious reasons. And now Turning Point USA is also confirming that he's died. So if you somehow didn't believe it until this point, you should believe it now. Because his own organization is confirming that he's dead. Schlatt. Oh my god. Apparently today is Schlatt's 26th birthday. And, apparently he might have been in Utah Valley. Wait, was he in Utah Valley? I don't know. But anyway, it's the wrong time to post that, Schlatt. Oh my god. Oh, Jesus. Also, someone, Reach or at Cowboy B _ mentioned, Charlie Kirk is at my fucking school tomorrow. So this person goes to UVU. And, it's like Charlie Kirk got fucking shot at your school tomorrow. At their school tomorrow. Jesus. Okay, that's just... Okay, no jokes for this one. Apparently his wife and 2 kids were present when he was assassinated. Jesus Christ. That's fucked up, dude. I don't care what side you're on. All right, I'm left wing. I'm liberal. I'm left of the center, okay? I'm liberal. I'm social democrat, okay? I don't care what fucking side you're on. That's just fucked up, dude. That's really fucked. It's really fucked up. Jesus Christ. Ugh. And his kids are fucking young, man. What the fuck? Their last memory of him, and his wife's last memory of him is gonna be him bleeding out of his fucking neck, a torrent of blood coming out of his fucking neck. Jesus Christ. I don't care what side you're on. That's just wrong. That's just fucking wrong. And it happens way too much in this country. It happens way too much around the world. All right? Palestinian women and children are forced to see their husbands get killed in front of them every single day in Gaza. There have probably been many school shootings where moms and dads have had to witness their kids who were students at the school they work at getting shot. I just got so mad at that. It's just, my God. We gotta do something about this in this country. And the guns are a big factor of it. I'm not denying that. The guns are a big factor in it. We can't just ignore them. But at the same time, it isn't just the guns. MAGA has made politics in this country far too volatile and too dangerous. Most of it, mostly MAGA. There's a little bit on the left. I hate to say it too, but there's some people on the left that definitely don't help at all. But it's mostly MAGA that makes this shit possible. All right. This shit's gotta stop. Between this and that school shooting in Colorado that happened at the same fucking time, this shit's gotta stop. We need to fix our problem with guns. We need to fix our problems with our economy, because it's clear that too many young people are turning to the idea that shooting people is the best option to solve all their problems. We gotta combat online extremism. We have to reinforce the idea that in a democracy, you do not use violence to solve your problems, to solve your political problems. But unfortunately, the chuckle fucks in the government right now are not the people who would do that. They're the kind of people who would take a tragedy like this and use it as an excuse to commit even more violence against their opponents. A thing you're going to notice about the Democratic and Republican responses to Charlie Kirk's death, all the Democrats and all the people on the left that are worth a damn, they're giving out messages of condolences. They're giving out messages supporting Charlie Kirk's wife and his children, who, again, had to witness him getting fucking killed. They witnessed their father getting fucking killed in front of them. That's not acceptable, okay? The Democrats and other people on the left who are worth a damn, they're giving out condolences to Charlie Kirk's family. His kids are 1 and 3, dude. What the fuck? What the fuck? I feel sick just reading that. So Democrats are giving out condolences to his family, and they're praying for his family. But you'll notice a lot of MAGA Republicans are already using his death to call for action to be taken against liberals and the left and Democrats. And that, I feel, is the difference. Because, for the most part, us in the Democratic Party are not using this as an excuse to call for action or to call for more violence. But there's too many people on the right that already are, even though his body is still warm. There is no place for this shit. I mean, under Joe Biden's condolences to Charlie Kirk and his family, there's already people who are blaming him for it, and he's not even the fucking president anymore. They're saying, "Yep, he did it. Yep, it's your fault, Joe. You did this. It's all your side." We gotta solve gun violence in this country. There has to be at least some gun control. I hate to say it. So I'm not a guy who wants to. I like guns. I don't want to take guns away. A lot of guns away from everybody. Okay, but there's gotta be some gun control. There's also gotta be efforts to combat hate groups. There's gotta be efforts to fix the mental health in this country. Republicans talk about mental health a lot. Like, this is a mental health issue, but then they proceed to cut the programs that would fix the actual mental health problems we have in this country. We need to not do that. We need to provide better economic opportunities to these young people who feel the need to commit these mass shootings because they feel that there's no way out for them. Another thing is, so Zara Mamdani also posted condolences, and of course, one of the top comments is him asking if he still wants to defund the police from a Republican. He's giving condolences to your own side, guys, and you're responding to him by making jokes or blaming him for it, even though Mamdani wasn't even a major player until earlier this year. Charlie Kirk has been more relevant politically than Mamdani has been. And you're blaming him for it for some reason. And yeah, it's just yes. Yeah. There's another video of it, I think. Again, I'm not going to play because I don't want to get the stream get taken down. Yeah, there's another close-up from a side shot, and it's very easy to see why it's not survivable. That blood gushes out of him very quickly. And yeah. Okay, so the question that was asked to Charlie Kirk before he was shot was, do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America in the last 10 years? So his last words were, counting or not counting gang violence. So that was his last question, and those were his last words before he got shot. So yeah, all that's happening. And of course, in other news, obviously we had the Russian drone attack in Poland. Thankfully, no one got hurt. It was only a few drones, and almost all of them are shot down. The ones that did make it didn't strike anything too important. Either Russia is testing the waters, or someone in their air force majorly fucked up. And I believe the testing of waters theory, but at the same time, I also believe the fucking up theory, because it's the Russian military, folks. They don't make the smartest decisions in the Russian military. I mean, just look at the last 3.5 years in Ukraine. But yeah, we're living in dangerous times, folks. Poland might pull the trigger and pull. I mean, they're going to do Article 4, which is the last step before Article 5. But yeah, I hope Russia's attack on Poland wasn't intentional. Although if it is, we should respond with full force. But of course, I don't trust Trump to do that, considering Trump seems eager to kiss Putin's ass. Of course, there's that. We have Israel bombing Hamas's headquarters in Doha, Qatar, which I don't support, by the way. Israel should not have bombed the neutral country that was trying to negotiate between Hamas and Israel. I don't think it was a good idea. It's bad. It sets a bad precedent, and it's just wrong. Israel violated Qatar's sovereignty and airspace by doing this. And I don't like it one bit. And apparently even Trump didn't like it too much, because Israel didn't really notify Trump in advance when they did this. Trump was surprised, and not in a good way, about what Israel did in Doha. And the fucked up part about it is, Israel didn't even end up killing anyone important of Hamas. They killed like 5 staffers, but like no one on the negotiating team. But you know why? I know why they did it. Because Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't want the war in Gaza to end. He doesn't want the genocide in Gaza and the war in Gaza to end. Because as long as the war keeps going on, he stays in power. and in his mind, who gives a shit about the Palestinians in Gaza? Who gives a shit about the genocide? Who gives a shit about the hostages? As long as he stays in power, it's good. It's good enough for him. Screw the lives of the Palestinians. Screw the lives of the Israeli hostages. That's his view. Then, of course, you have the situation in Nepal. Protesters managed to overthrow their government. Prime Minister resigned and fled. And they also burned down the Nepalese parliament building. And many people have been killed. Many people have been killed. The government tried to ban a bunch of social media platforms, but it didn't work because now the government's overthrown. And Jesus Christ, that is a high unemployment rate. Apparently, unemployment rate for Nepalese teenagers was 20.8%. Holy fuck. And they wonder why the government got overthrown. Oh my god. So we might get Sushila Karki, who is a former Chief Justice of Nepal, to become interim Prime Minister. Because most of the protesters, most of whom are on my generation, Gen Z, like under 30, most of them want Sushila Karki to be Prime Minister instead, after their last Prime Minister resigned. The death toll is currently about 30, and it looks like she might actually lead interim government. Going back to Israel for a bit, apparently Israel arrested someone for sharing the Nepalese video on social media. So what happened? So they arrested Dr. Yolanda Yavor, who is a Israeli doctor in Tel Aviv University. She shared the video. She shared the video of the Nepalese parliament burning down and said said that Netanyahu should look out, essentially. So the Israeli police arrested her for that. Jesus Christ. They know about her because she's been active in protests against Netanyahu and against the war. So they arrested her for making a post in solidarity with the Nepalese protesters, which is just dystopian. Yeah, only democracy in Middle East, my ass. Okay? It applies to Israelis, let alone it applies to the Palestinians that live within, Israeli occupation. So yeah, a lot of shit went down today. And, oh my god. Yeah, that's just... Now, Robert Reich, who I've also followed, is also saying it again. There's no place for violence in our democracy against anyone. It's important that all of us renew our condemnation of political violence. The attack on Charlie Kirk was reprehensible. Such violence was never allowed in America. We always have political disagreements. But disagreements are the hallmark of a vibrant democracy. We must disagree peacefully and lawfully. We cannot and must not respond to disagreements violently, which is the right thing to say. Which is the right thing to say, Robert. And my fear is that the train may have left the station. The proverbial train, of course. My fear is the proverbial train has left the station, and that we're going to be in for some very, very tough times ahead. All the people who are cheering this on. All the people who are cheering this on are going to be in for a rude awakening when Trump uses it as an excuse to go after us more. Despite our condemnations, are rightful condemnations of this horrible act. I don't know what the future entails for us, folks. It's gonna be fucking scary. It's gonna be fucking scary. And yeah. Anyway, folks, that's enough for Lacedaemon's Corner. Thank you for tuning in. And have a good night, I guess. And look, I don't like Charlie Kirk in terms of his politics or him as a person, really, but prayers to his wife and his kids who had to see that shit. That's fucking disgusting.